I have a serious problem. I just want to throw that out there. This is a problem. This is not okay. Look at all. This isn't okay. Hey, how's it going? I'm Joshua91Tech, and today we're going to be taking a look at my iPhone collection. And it's snowing, which is really great. Merry Christmas to all you people, and without further ado, let's just jump into this.
Let me just say again, Merry Christmas. I thought it would be really cool to have a video for Christmas, and so here we are. Also, if you haven't yet, I ask that you follow me on Twitter. I just started an account and it's got like basically no followers, so if you want to go follow me over there, that would be awesome. Instagram too, links down below. That being said, let's talk about my ridiculous amount of iPhones. Here's a stack of them, and oh my gosh, it's a lot of iPhones. So this, as far as I know, is every iPhone I have. I can't think of any I'm missing. I have so many phones that sometimes they end up in different weird places, but as far as I can remember, this is what I have. So let's just talk about what phones I have here.
So before I show each of these phones individually, let's just name all of them. So right here we have the iPhone 2G, which is the first iPhone ever. Right here we have the iPhone 3GS, which is the third iPhone ever. Here we have the iPhone 4 running iOS 7. This iPhone 4 is running iOS 6, which is kind of fun. I use it as an iPod personally. This phone right here is the iPhone 4S running iOS 5. I do have a video coming on that, so make sure you stay tuned. Here I have a second iPhone 4S running iOS 5. I know. Right here I have an iPhone 4S running iOS 7, which I did a video on a while back, link to that below, and it's actually really cool to play around with, but yeah, that's that. Right here I have an iPhone 4S on iOS 8. This here is an iPhone 5 running iOS 6, one of my favorite things in my collection here. Right here I have an iPhone 5S running iOS 10.2, and it is jailbroken, although I don't think I have it. So it isn't in a jailbroken state right now, but it is jailbroken. Here I have my iPhone 5S running iOS 11. I just use this one for videos. Here I have a dead iPhone 6 that does not work. I just use it for either B-roll or I don't know, I just have it. I tried to fix it, I couldn't, but I tried. Here we have the iPhone 6S, and this is the phone I had as my main driver before this phone, the iPhone 10. So this is my collection. Let's go through all these individually because this is a lot to look at once, and without further ado, let's just get started here.
Alright, so at the top of this ridiculous stack, we have the iPhone 2G. So again, this is the first iPhone released in 2007, and it's a nice phone. I like the aluminum backing on the back. It's very cool, the two-tone design. It's running the latest version it can, being iOS 3.1.3, I think, or something like that, and it's fine. I do want to actually at some point downgrade it, do a video on that. The only problem is you need a very old version of iTunes to do it, so eventually I'll get to that. But yeah, this phone was $50, I think. It does have a cracked screen, which is a little bit too bad. Could do without that, but I preferred that over the dead pixels you see a lot on a lot of iPhone 2Gs. I don't mind it that much, and it's really interesting to use. So yeah, that's the iPhone 2G. Definitely one of my favorites in my collection. It's really cool to see where it all started. All right, done with the 2G. Now we're on to the iPhone 3GS. So what's great about this thing is the fact that it can run up to iOS 6. This one is on iOS 6.1.6, and it is surprisingly fast on iOS 6, like shockingly not bad. Compared to say the iPhone 4S on iOS 9 or the iPhone 4 on iOS 7, I would say it's quite a bit better. I actually really enjoy using this thing. The screen is not very good, being non-retina. It's one of the old generation iPhone screens, and so that's one kind of downside of it. And it has a very interesting design, considering Apple's never really gone back to it, except for maybe the 5C, and that's a plastic glossy packing. And I actually kind of like the look. It's very grippy, feels good in the hand. And yeah, iPhone 3GS, really like the phone. I think it was the first old iPhone I purposely bought, and yeah, I really enjoy using it. Next here we have the iPhone 4, released in 2010. This is the first iPhone I ever owned. I got it from my uncle. He just gave it to me because he didn't need it anymore. Props to him, that was really nice of him back in the day. And I got this back in, I think, 2013. I believe when I got it, it was already updated to iOS 7, either that or I updated it to iOS 7. 7? I don't remember. Hindsight 2020, probably should have kept it on iOS 6, but obviously at the time it was the new thing. And it doesn't run the greatest on iOS 7. It's actually not as bad as people remember, because Apple did update the phone with iOS 7.1 that made it a bit faster. And so yeah, I mean, I really like it. You know, brings back a lot of memories using this thing. I started high school with it. That's right. I remember for a bit in high school I had this thing. It was like a brick. I had a giant case on it and everything. It was lots of fun. I really love the design of the iPhone 4, the glass back and stainless seals. Very similar to the iPhone 10 design. I do like the look of iOS 7, maybe not as much as iOS 6, but I still really do like the look. And overall, I absolutely love this phone. My mom actually uses it as an iPod of sorts. We have an old docking station she has it on in the kitchen, and she listens to music while, you know, she does whatever, cook, whatever. And yeah, it's just nice to have. And, you know, there are things you can do with your old devices, and this is one of them. All right, moving on from that, we have my second iPhone 4, being the iPhone 4 on iOS 6. I bought this one this year because I needed a device as an iPod, and this was 32 gigs. It was a pretty good deal. I think it was like $40 or $30 or something like that. It was cheap, and I needed something with quite a bit of space, and the best thing about it was that it was on iOS 6, which means it's quite a bit faster than, say, on iOS 7. So I used this thing. I got a ton of audio on there, and yeah, I really like it. Battery life could be better. I think the battery on this phone isn't the best. The home button also is a bit sticky, doesn't quite work properly, which is very common on old phones like this. The back is cracked, and they are on most of my phones I have here for the iPhone 4 and 4S. It's just because they're old. That's just kind of what happens with these old phones with the glass. So funny story about this phone, how I broke it even more. On the back, I was on vacation at a cabin on the ocean. I was sitting on my bed there. There was a TV, so it was, I believe I was playing something on there. And then all of a sudden, there was a bat that, it was, the lights were out, it was just the TV on. A bat flew right in front of me and freaked me out. It scared the living daylights out of me. I was terrified. I have never seen a bat in real life until then, and that just shocked me, right? I was half asleep, just, you know, I think I was mindlessly playing some PS3 or something. All of a sudden, there's just this bat there. So I like jump out of bed, and my iPhone 4 was connected to earbuds, and it just went flying across the room, and whack! You could hear it hit the wooden floor, and it got cracked on the back. Luckily, the screen didn't crack. I was surprised about that. Fun little unnecessary story. Next, I have my white iPhone 4S on iOS 5. It's cool. It's running iOS 5, the original version it shipped with in 2011. It does have a YouTube app that's how you can tell it's on iOS 5. YouTube, of course, does not work on it, but I remember a lot of people used to really like the YouTube app, so it's kind of too bad they got rid of it on here. And then here I have a second iPhone 4S on iOS 5. Yes, I have two. Why? Because I was stupid. I didn't really think things through. So the black one's in worse condition, as you can probably tell, especially in the front. There's like, it's just kind of weird looking, and it's fine. They both are pretty cool on iOS 5. They're neat to play with. I still need to do a video on it, obviously. I've been meaning to do it for like 2 months. Things just keep getting in the way, but it is coming, so I won't talk too much about these phones because I want to save it, so look forward to that. Next up, I have my iPhone 4S on iOS 7. I really like this device. It runs so smoothly with iOS 7 and like the original iOS 7. The original iOS 7 had like slower animations. I did a video on this. You can see it's really cool to play with. The animations are so slow and smooth. Apple really had a look they were going for here after Steve Jobs passed away, and they changed a lot of it. They had to. They made the animations faster in a later version of iOS 7, but I don't know. It's really neat to play with. I'm probably gonna have to do another video on it because I want to play with it more, even though I already did a bit for a video. It's so crazy cool. I'm glad this one was on iOS 7.0.3 instead of 7.1 because I think that's when they changed it. It is jailbroken, and it runs actually, you know, pretty well. It was just the iPhone 4, I think, that really struggled with iOS 7. Moving on from that, we have my last iPhone 4S. I have too many of them, but anyway, I have my last iPhone 4S running iOS 8. So this is the one I lived a week with. If you remember that video, that actually did really well. It used to be on iOS 9. I actually downgraded it. I was going to do a video on it, and I still kind of want to. If you guys want to see that video, let me know down below. The big problem with it was that the quality just wasn't there, so I never ended up posting it. It's a fairly nice device. I don't have a lot of issues with it. On iOS 9, it was super slow. Obviously, iOS 8 still not great, but it's definitely better than iOS 9. I mean, I lived a whole week with it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was definitely not exactly the most convenient situation. All right, and moving on from that, we have probably the pride and joy of my collection. I don't know. It's definitely one of my favorites, and that is the iPhone 5 on iOS 6. Yeah, these are very, very, very rare. So the iPhone 4S on iOS 5 is rare, but it's not as cool as the iPhone 5 on iOS 6. Now, it came out in 2012, and it was the last phone to have the Steve Jobs kind of feel, touch, look, everything to it. It has iOS 6, something so different from what we have now, and yet it was only 5 years ago. This is probably my favorite. It's super duper fast, like easily comparable to my iPhone 10, except for things that actually take a lot of processing power, but just the UI and scrolling through settings and stuff like that. Almost as fast as my iPhone 10, if not as fast or even faster. It's really good. I'm going to do a comparison video at some point. The iPhone 5 iOS 6 is so cool. And the crazy thing is, this is actually iOS 6.0.1. So this phone either shipped with iOS 6.0.1 when the guy got it originally, or it was updated just once in its whole lifetime, which is ridiculous to think about. Now, this iPhone 5 unfortunately does have a big issue, and that is the battery. The battery is awful on here. Like, it'll die after a day on standby. It's terrible. I'm doing a video on that soon, by the way. There's so many videos I need to do. We have my iPhone 5S on iOS 10.2. So I got this thing for $45 off of eBay. Nobody bid on it. The guy thought it was an iPhone 4S. I did a whole video on that. It was pretty funny. Link down below. You already know it. Yeah, it was a good find, and it was on iOS 10.2, which I did not expect. So I jailbroke it, obviously, and it's fun to play around with. This iPhone 5S on iOS 10 definitely runs faster than my iPhone 5S on iOS 11. It looks pretty good with the space gray. This was the phone, of course, that introduced the Touch ID sensor, and it's overall a really solid phone. Really do like it. And moving on from it, we have my second iPhone 5S, being the iPhone 5S on iOS 11. Nothing really special about this phone in particular. It's just an iPhone 5S on iOS 11, as most probably are nowadays. It's gold. This was the phone that introduced the gold color, which is kind of cool. It works fine. It's actually not terribly slow. I know a lot of people have complained about their iPhone 5S being slow on iOS 11, but this one's actually ran pretty well for me. All right, on to the iPhone 6 that I have, which doesn't work. It's completely broken, busted, whatever you want to say. It doesn't work. So I believe it's water damaged. My friend just completely destroyed the thing. I don't even know. He gave it to me because he didn't need it because it was broken. I tried to fix it. I failed. You can tell it was pretty destroyed. Even if I had gotten to work, the screen is separating from the body, and it's just it's in terrible condition. I just use it for B-roll mostly. Occasionally, if I'm talking about the iPhone 6, it's pretty pointless to have this thing, but you know, B-roll, and yeah, it's broken. Moving on from that, we have my iPhone 6S that I used for quite a while. I really like this phone, although I found out that it actually is being throttled by Apple with the whole slowing down phones thing. Apparently this one is too. I didn't even realize it had a bad battery, but that would explain why I was feeling pretty slow for a little while there. Yeah, I checked Geekbench scores. It was like half of what it should be, which isn't great. It was still a fun device. 3D touch on it is really cool. I loved the haptic feedback when I got it. Live photos, something that's severely underrated. It's very thin, very light, much lighter and thinner than my iPhone 10, which is kind of funny. Really like the phone. Still would definitely recommend a 6S. It's a very solid option. And from there, we move on to my iPhone 10, my daily driver, and my favorite phone. The iPhone 10 is awesome. I love using it. I've said this before. You guys know it. I've done tons of videos on it. I like my iPhone 10 a lot, and while it was extremely expensive, and for that reason I don't recommend buying it for 95% of people, I still do really enjoy it, and I don't really have a lot of regrets getting it. I don't really need to explain too much about it. You guys know everything about the iPhone 10. It's a really good phone.
So that was my iPhone collection. Yes, I have a problem. I realize that. How much money have I wasted? Because I know I'm gonna see those comments a dozen times. Let's just say way too much. No man should ever have to spend that much on iPhones, ever. So Merry Christmas to all you amazing people. Like this video if you want to show me your support, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at 91_tech. All right, without further ado, I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.